Welcome to episode 64 of Winging It, a fortress in theory. We'll get into our home form later. I've got Samuel Hesketh in the background. Hello,
Trying
Sam.
not to cough on mic. Hello.
Good quick muting skills there.
Yeah.
Unsurprisingly, Albert's on holiday in Kent, is it? Is that what he said?
Yeah, something like that.
He's got childcare issues, so no Albert this week. But we do have Carl.
Hi, guys. I've just been looking. Watford aren't playing, so he hasn't called in a sick note on a...
Well, and the good news is, Carl, it's not a transfer one, so you're not going to be bombarded with questions from listeners this week. We can just have a chat.
I don't have to try and be funny like Albert, though, do I?
No, it might help when we talk about Everton at home, though.
Yeah, well, look, I've got Verdant again this week as a beer. You got anything, Carl?
Neat vodka after Saturday.
Ooh.
Neat vodka. No, I've kept it pretty mainstream. Was that Everton Hospitality a few years ago on their free beer? That was Chang, wasn't it? I'm Tiny Rebel, keeping it mainstream, but it's a great beer still.
Friends of the pod. My beer is called There Is Only Now, and it could be true considering there's an asteroid with a 1 in 43 chance of hitting Earth in 2032. Which, for my money, makes beating Millwall even more imperative in a few weeks because we're running out of time. We've got to do something to win it. Although, I don't know if there's any truth in the rumours that the asteroid is actually Jason Punchin's penalty against Spurs just coming back after slingshotting around Saturn. It's coming to clean us out. But yes, Carl... We've drawn Millwall since we spoke last on the pod. I know you must be excited.
I am excited. The most of the family in Millwall. I struggle to consider them big rivals. Not in the same. I won't lose sleep like I do before the Brighton one. But yeah, it's a proper game, and I've always wanted to see the Arthurwaite as a terrace again. So it should be good.
What have we given them? Like 4,000, 3.8, something like that?
3.8, yeah, 3.8. 3.8, yeah. And they've taken out a little bit of a block of segregation in the Whitehorse, and then a decent sized block in the Arthur.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of obliged to give them a bit more than we give for home games in the league, aren't we?
Yeah, it's 15%. And I think we have literally given them 15%. It's 15% of the available capacity. So I imagine the capacity is at sort of 25 for it when you put the segregation blocks in it. So, we've given them, I think it's 3,780 we've given them.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can find our first home win against them in 23 years to advance to the next round. Talking of anniversaries, it's Glasner's first year in charge today, 1 whole year in charge. Stand alone at the top as win percentage for a manager after this many games. So not bad going from Ollie. Hesketh. It's not all been plain smooth sailing the whole way, but needless to say, you're happy, right?
Yeah. I hope we get more of these posts in years to come, and it's not Dunkershire and Alfie Zane or whatever in the summer. It's been a great year. I mean, even when, the start of this season was a bit ropey results-wise, we talked about it on here. None of us ever felt like it was turning us against him or, it was a perilous situation or anything. I think it's been overwhelmingly positive from my point of view, and like I say, I hope it continues for a long time to come.
Yeah, and I think you talked a lot last time, Carl, or the time before he was on the pod, about the ownership being happy with him and really wanting it to work out. So far, so good.
Yeah, I think, and he seems genuinely happy and all, doesn't he? I mean, his comments a couple of weeks ago, or in the last couple of weeks, whereby he said he's felt supported from the first moment he's coming here by the owners, backroom staff, the players, and the fans. I think he's in a genuinely happy place. There's not too much friction for him. He seems to be enjoying London. So yeah, and I definitely know the owners the owners are happy, and you normally hear by now the noise is already breaking of, he's or between either the manager or one of the backroom staff that, it's not all as great as you can imagine, or you can soon fall out of love with a manager. They haven't with this one. I think they, I remember us talking when he first came in about maybe the nervousness with him and the director of football having what had gone on at previous clubs. Been none of that here either. I mean, he's puts pressure on in all of the right ways, but he's not throwing anybody under a bus or anything along those lines.
Yeah, well, there was a story recently in one of the papers where Glasner, in an interview, was waxing lyrical about Dougie Freedman and how well they work together. And I sent it to Florian, who had come on this podcast before from German Sky Sports, who talked about his troubles with directors of football. And I was like, wow, look, we've managed to... Sir Douglas Freedman has, sorted all those problems out. So great to hear. But yeah, delighted. But I probably will ruin it the first time I meet him and start speaking to him in pidgin German. He'll be like, that's it, I'm out. I've had enough.
I quit.
I quit. Get me out of here. Oh. This week, we've had 2 lots of Palace on Palace violence. First up, Sorlot scored against Vinny G this weekend as Atletico Madrid drew with Celta Vigo. I was trying to think how to describe those 2 Palace's careers. I mean, disappointing from Sorloth and disappointing end from Gueza. Other than that, lovely goal from Sorloth, or Sorlot, as we should say. Carl, as we've talked about many times before, right man, wrong time, probably.
Yeah.
Probably do a job now.
I've got to say, if when you talk about tensions between director of footballs and footballers, director of football and managers, Sorlot definitely being one of those, whereby a director of football has found a player, put him in, and a manager has had one little look at him and gone, no, I don't quite fancy him. And even when we were safe, refused to give him a game. So, yeah, right, almost certainly the right player at the wrong time.
Yeah, I reckon Sorlot just first down the training field, Roy Hodgson tried to welcome him in his native language and he corrected Roy's grammar and he just didn't like it. It's like...
Game over.
Get out of here. Piss off back to Mitliad or wherever you came from. And in other Palace on Palace violence, we had Jeffrey McSchlupp against Michael Elise in the Champions League, no less. And... until injury time, Hesketh, Schluppy came out on top. I think all the statistic websites gave him man of the match.
Yeah, actual champion, Jeffrey Schlupp in the Champions League. He's actually won a league, Michael, before you start it. I had completely forgotten it was on. And when I turned over, it was just, I think, about 5 minutes before Celtic scored. And I was like, wow, Schluppy's doing well. Because I saw a couple of photos on a blue sky and it was the 2 of them sort of having a tussle and I was like, wow, that's pretty good going for Jeff. Obviously I jinxed it because I think Elise set the goal up, did he? The equaliser?
Yeah, from the 10 position. Yeah, from the 10 position though.
Okay.
He actually had to move to get away from Schlippy.
There we go.
Yeah. Couldn't go near him.
It's funny, I've spent the last 3 years but just kind of jokingly, but moaning about Schlupp. And now that he's playing in the Champions League, I'm like, go on, Jeff. We all want this for you.
But do you know what? I decided I'd watch it, and I was like 15 minutes into it before I've gone, do you know what? If Palace played like this, Schlupp would be perfect. He didn't move. They stayed in a deep block. They didn't ask him to get up the pitch. They didn't ask him to get outside the midfield or the winger and whip crosses in. They let Michael pick up the ball and let him drift to Schlupp. They were so compact. He showed him inside. At one stage, he was stood so far on his right foot that Michael had nowhere to go apart from to double back because he didn't fancy going outside him. no idea what Schlupp's running yards were. I don't think they were massive, but as an actual sort of left back, he was fantastic because nobody got past him.
That should have been one of our outrageous predictions at the start of the season. Schluppy to do the business in the Champions League this year.
Yeah, well, when I turned on Amazon Prime to watch the football, I wasn't expecting to find Prime Schlupp, that was for sure. But there you go. So congratulations to Jeffrey Schlupp. But yeah, I mean, Carl would not care a jot, but devastating end for Celtic, really, to go out in that fashion after battling all the way through. And yeah, got him for Jeffrey, and yeah, but good for Michael. And then Michael Elise went on the Champions League show on CBS, the one with Carragher, Omri, Kate Abdo. Well, she's got a new name now, hasn't she? And Micah Richards. And he spoke really well. Have you seen the footage?
Of Elise? No.
Yeah, he really engaged in the interview. I wonder if it was because Omri was involved and he's comfortable with Omri from playing at the Olympics with him. So yeah, but he spoke really, really well and didn't throw the interview at all. He was really engaged and answered the questions and was having a laugh with Omri. So yeah, it was pretty good. Although Micah Richards did ask him to choose between Company and Omri. To which his response, what is this? What is this? But as you know, Carl, I went over to see Elise. I think there was no difference in the game the other night as well. Elise and Kimmich just run the show for them. They're both just brilliant. And you're not surprised to see him slotting so well there, are you?
No, I think he's the best young player I've ever seen in a Palace shirt. It could be. I think history may show he might turn out to be the best player ever playing a Palace shirt. Mm-hmm. Just gutted there weren't one more season. But yeah, he's everything that's ever been put in front of him. He just steps up to like as an absolute natural. He'd go all the way, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
I believe so. Right. Carl, you didn't want to talk about Everton, but I'm afraid we're going to. Oh. Yeah, as I called the show, a fortress in theory. Forever we're told Selhurst Park is a difficult place to come. Now, this season, that is certainly not true. We've played 13 games at home now this season. 2 wins, 5 draws and 6 losses, putting us in 11 points at home. Since promotion in 13-14, it's the fewest wins we've had at home after 13 games. We've had 3 on 3 occasions in that time. We've only had 3 wins. And the most we've ever had by this stage is 6. And care to hazard a guess which season that was? It was when it was Fortress Selhurst. Tony Pulis first season when he came in and just basically won everything at home after he came in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it's the second lowest points total we've had at this stage of the season at home as well. With you'll be unsurprised to hear Pardew's second season when it all went to pot at the beginning of the season. But even then, we still had 10 points, which is only 1 point less than we had now, and 1 more win. So, can you put your finger on it, Hesketh? You got any ideas?
I mean, if Glasner doesn't have any ideas, I'm not sure I will. Not really. I mean, I know that there's a sort of idea that you play differently away to how you play at home, and that's true in some respects, but seeing what we were able to do at the end of last year shows that we should be able to start on the front foot in all these games and take a game by the scruff of the neck. Obviously, there's caveats of losing certain players and having certain players injured, but we seem to have stepped it up all right away, especially defensively. Whether it's just a case of small margins and we've been a bit unluckier at home than away, we'll get onto it, but like hitting the bar against Everton and then 30 seconds later throwing the ball to their player for a goal, which we haven't done away. Maybe it's something like that, but yeah, I don't know. There doesn't seem to be one particular thing I can think of across the whole season so far at home that is consistently wrong and going badly. But whatever it is, I hope we get out of the slump because it's annoying. I didn't even go to the Tottenham game, so I've only seen one home win in the league.
Well, and it's kind of weird, right? You look at it, if we could have quite easily beaten Everton and beaten Brentford at home in the last two games, and then all of a sudden the complexion's completely different, not just of our home form this season, but of our entire season, because where 6 points puts us further up the table in touching distance of troubling the European scorers and all of that. But now you have two, like say you hit the crossbar, you have a goal ruled out controversially, all this kind of stuff, and gift Everton goals. You got the Brentford game where we just couldn't take advantage when we're on top. We've been unlucky not to beat Man City at home. We was unlucky not to get anything against Liverpool in a really good performance there. But then, our two wins are Spurs, who are fucking awful, and Southampton, who are fucking awful, and we almost blew that as well. So 2-0 down to Leicester at home and had to fight back into that one. So it's been a really sort of mixed bag. But I say the last two games, which we could have easily have won, I think puts a completely different complexion on things. Carl, we've got to turn it around soon, though, because we've got our next three games are at home, and one of them's in the FA Cup round of 16.
Yeah, I mean, the only bit I'd add on to both your comments, you need more guile and you need creativity at home. We miss Walton. We've missed when Ebbs hasn't been on the pitch or hasn't been in form. And we miss Michael Elise significantly more at home than we do away, whereby you've got an opposition playing higher up the pitch, attacking more and leaving spaces. And I think, Hughes, Lerma, JP away from home is just sensational. Sarr, when you haven't got a low block and he's got space to run into, I think you can get away with a little less creativity and guile away from home. I think that's one of the things we've really missed at home. I don't think we've ever this season against, let's call it, a similar sized club to us, have grabbed hold of a game and just been probing for 20, 30, 40 minutes in the same way as we were doing when Glasner, that spell at the back end of last season at home. I just don't think we've dictated. But by the same token, I'm not sure we've had the players on the pitch to dictate a game for long periods. But to your point, our season now will be determined on our home form, because we're not going to make European places. We're not going to get relegated. We've got a couple of opposition or teams coming up, we've obviously got Millwall in the Cup, so the FA Cup is now on the line for us in home games, but you don't want to go into that off of back of another home defeat against Villa. So I think we have to play well and we have to get something out of it. And I hate Brighton. We've still got Brighton to come. We have got to turn the home form around. We absolutely have to.
Yeah, and I know you were a bit upset's the wrong word, but you thought the lineup, Carl, had a plan to it, but not the sort of plan you think we should be going with at home.
I think it. Look, I think Glasner is the type of manager who tactically is very, very good. He likes to see how the opposition are playing, and he likes to adapt in the game. And I think that probably shows through with the points or goals we've scored in the second half of games is significantly more than the first half of games, disproportionately high. I have a sense in the Everton game, he thought we would be big, strong, competitive, run all over the pitch, and we'll win it in the last 30 minutes by bringing on Adam, bringing on Ebbs. They'd be tired because they would have played against Liverpool. And you know what? I just think it showed it too much respect. It's a team who's below us in the league, a team that, yes, they're on a little bit of a decent spell after Moyes has come in. I would have liked to have just seen us go from it from the first moment. And I still go back to one of the better performances we've had at Selhurst, not the best, one of the better ones in recent years was Hodgson's first one when he came back, when we had that Leicester team. And in that first half, we just absolutely went full guns. And they didn't know how to react. Now, ironically, they took the lead, but they didn't know how to react. And it feels like at some stage, I'd like to see us play our game with our best players and go out and try and win a game from the start.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think I mentioned, our form at the end of last season under Glasner. I don't know the stats off the top of my head, but we started every home game really on the front foot and really, like Carl said, gung-ho. You remember that West Ham game where we were 4-0 up in 20 minutes or whatever, and it seemed like the game plan there was just like overpower them, and it worked. That's not to say we should do it every game this year, but we started off the second half against Everton similar to that. We took a different kickoff where we didn't just launch it, we ran it and had a sustained period of like 5 minutes where we ended up scoring. And it's that sort of thing, like Cole says, if you begin the match like that, we've got the players to overpower teams. If you did start Wharton, if you did start Ebbs, and you do that and you go 1-0, 2-0 up, I think, we win the game. It's obviously easy to say now because it didn't happen. But like you said, Everton had played a few days before. And I think if you take the game away from them early, then they'll just peter out because they won't have it in them. So, yeah, I agree. I was a bit surprised at the lineup. I thought Ebbs would be straight back in, much as I like Devaney, and much as I think Ebbs has not been in great form. I just assumed he'd come back in. And I think the change of having a Wharton and Ebbs in the team from the start is also quite a statement. So, yeah, I was a bit surprised. I don't know if disappointed or upset is the right word, but a bit surprised that we didn't, start them from the off.
Yeah, but there's got to be an element of managing them as well, right? Wharton played a big part of Donny. He's just come back from a long-term injury. You got to probably manage his minutes still a bit. And Ebbs the same, really. You don't want him breaking down again. So maybe he's just managing that time there. And, it also fits in with a philosophy of keep it tight for 60 and then run them over late on with those players. So it could just be that. But, yeah, you see that lineup and you are a bit like... Let's say early creativity is missing a little bit out of it. Although saying Will Hughes pulling that pass at Donny out of his arse to put Devaney in behind. Actually, talking about Will Hughes, he's getting noticed by opposition fans now as well. People at work come and talk to me and be like, what's happened to Will Hughes? I've never really got him as a player, but all of a sudden, every time I watch Palace, he just looks quality. And I guess it's, I don't know, maybe I don't know what your thoughts are on this, Carl. It's a bit of akin to how Brighton make everyone look quality, because when you put them in a system and you can just play to their strengths, they start to look incredible. Do you think we're seeing similar things here?
I think that's exactly it. I think Glasner's, has he improved, forget Mitchell's game on Saturday, he's improved every Palace player, hasn't he? Over a period of time, he's improved every Palace player. And a part of that is probably him as a coach, but a part of it is the system coach, those players knowing how to play and play to their strengths. So Will Hughes isn't being asked to go absolute out-and-out box-to-box and massive amounts of space to go play around. A lot of the time when he's picking up the ball, he's got options in all directions.
You mean he's not asking him to play as a high-pressing centre-forward? Was that Man City or Liverpool?
Yeah.
He had to do that. I think it might have been City. Yeah, brilliant.
Like a bloody Jack Russell.
Yeah. Okay, we'll get into some further bits of those comments later. Let's talk through the game a little bit. So Mateta pounces on a mistake quite early and uncharacteristically misses, really, Hesketh. You expect him to put them away, but at the same time, probably a good save from Pickford as well.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's one of those things where it's easy to say afterwards, if he'd have gone across instead of, near side, then or it's a goal.
Or squared it to Sarr, yeah.
Or squared it to Sarr. It's easy to say that now, but like you say, when he nicked the ball off the defender and got through, you just assume we're going to score, So that would have been a great start. I think that would have settled a lot of nerves. Would have really allowed us to kick on. But yeah, wasn't to be, unfortunately. Very un-JP like at the moment.
Yeah, then Pickford made a fairly comfortable save from Gay. It looked good off his head and looked like it might be going in, but Pickford's in great form this season, really, and you don't expect that to beat him. And then it leads us to the not Jefferson Lerma goal from the corner. Now, to be honest, I think it's gone out of play. I'm not here to say it hasn't questioned the Lionel or anything like that. You can't get. I understand the whole thing of it. We was talking about in the stands at the time. What's going to happen here is there's going to be no conclusive evidence to overrule the decision on the pitch, which, as it obviously turned out to be. My bigger gripe here is, Carl, how big the Premier League is. And, we've had recently Simon Jordan on TalkSport arguing with an American guy from the NFL about what's the bigger product and how the Premier League is closing down on the NFL when it's been in existence for far fewer years and blah, 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 blah. There is no way there wouldn't have been a camera in an NFL game that wouldn't have been able to conclusively rule whether that went over the line or not. There's cameras fucking everywhere in those games. They've got super HD cameras on the pitch with bloody portrait mode like you get on your iPhone on every player they look at, and even got cameras in those little cones that sit on the touchdown line. It's like, where's that in the Premier League?
Well, you're right. I mean, firstly, I was in a box. The ball flew over my head and just slightly behind me, nearly knocked the volleyball out. So I reckon it had gone out of play. I've got an improvement suggestion. Cool. I don't like changes to rules in football. Make it that, don't care if it goes out of play. It's where it lands when it comes in. Was it in play when it landed? That'd make it interesting for corners that'll be whipping around outside and trying to drop them under the crossbar, even on an outswinger. But what I would say, T, some of this is about, to your point, absolutely right. The league can afford it. The clubs can afford it. They can put any technology they like in. It doesn't actually have to be that expensive. You can put the chips in the ball. You can put the chips in the ball. You can read very, very quickly. You know where the pitch is. You got the chips in the ball. It can be in the air. It doesn't have to be on the floor for that to work. They haven't. They just haven't invested. They haven't worked. I mean, obviously, the ball manufacturers changes to Puma. The league doesn't work with any of the ball manufacturers anywhere near in advance in our country, unlike Germany, where they do with Adidas, to build all the technology actually into the ball to go help. Hence, we still haven't yet got semi-automated offsides, because that's all about the technology in the ball more than anything else. So, yeah, your actual point is right. They could put whatever technology they like in the stadium and afford it comfortably, and it just takes that decision out of it, as it would have done. Was it Newcastle, Arsenal last season or earlier this season? Yeah. That was another one whereby they should be trying to work it through in that way. Let the technology do it.
Yeah, still not as bad as Sheffield United at Villa.
Yeah,
that was ridiculous.
Kept Villa up.
I mean, it's mental, really, right? Because that everyone could see with a naked eye it was in. So the fact that they lost their mind and stuck with the technology was just ridiculous. Yeah. Oh, it's up there with one of the worst decisions ever. But you could see, like, the way, because I imagine the sensors were all blocked off by the goalkeeper falling all over the place there, which threw it off. But yeah, mental decision. It's like, I know the technology's saying it isn't in, but just look with your eyes. The ball is clearly over the line. But yeah, so disappointing again there that that's not gone in. And then it gets worse. Chris Richards, I don't know what he's doing. It just beats everyone, goes on a mazy run. And the ball ends up with Sarr. I mean, whoever nearly tackled Mateta in the penalty area did well not to give away a penalty to step out of that challenge. And he lays it off to Sarr. And I mean, he's got a score, hasn't he, Hesketh? It's unfortunate to hit the bar, but he's got a score.
Yeah, and it's another one like that first JP shot where you just expect it he will, because he's in good form, he's confident, it's in a good position, he's good as a footballer. I mean, at the time it happened so quickly, I was just like, I just barely figured out who it was that had the shot. But yeah, I mean, when you look at it back, you'd back him, wouldn't you? You'd expect it to happen. And I fucking wish he had, because it all goes to pot after that.
The Mateta layoff is world class. He makes that look easy, because he's done to the point. He's done really well. The defender's done really well not to bring him down. Mateta has absolutely put that into Sarr, so he doesn't have to break stride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. I think he has to score.
I'll blame Mateta then, because if he would have put it out of his stride, he might not have caught it so well and it would have bobbled in. So,
Has Albert come back on the show?
No. So you're right, Hesketh. It does start to go to pot here, and we've spent the last couple of episodes since we signed Ben Chilwell talking about the effects that Chilwell might have on Tyreek Mitchell and how he might improve his game. We didn't really consider that it might do the opposite.
He'd shit his pants.
Oh God! I mean, up to this point in the game, he obviously hadn't been playing bad. I thought Palace were playing really well. We really limited Everton to basically nothing. Mm-hmm. We were passing around really, really nicely at points, and only one team was scoring until Sarr hits the bar, and then it starts to go downhill a bit. And Mitchell's throw into Lerma, where Lerma just turns his back on it and he's clearly not expecting it to come. Carl, do you think there's an element here that Glasner sided on blaming Lerma because he hooked him at half time? Or, I mean, he was fuming, Glasner. I don't know if you watched him after that. It took him about 3 minutes to calm down. He weren't even looking at the game anymore. He was just gesticulating and talking to people in the dugout. It's a really frustrating goal to give away. And I know you can talk about us being at the top level and you're in the Premier League and you get punished when you make mistakes, but it feels like we get punished every single time we make a mistake to the fullest.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's right. I mean, it's the stats always say that the first goal is so important in Premier League football. For us, the way we play, we get the first goal, the opposition's got to come out, it leaves space, and Sarr comes into his own and all of that to go behind. Of all of the teams you don't want to go behind, well, actually, the two teams I always say I don't want to go behind at Selhurst for the way they play, Brentford and Everton. They both very happy to sit back, compact, and then spring out from you. It was suicide mission. I think Lerma was hooked, not specifically on that incident. He was hooked because we needed Walton, and Hughes has been significantly better. And if you're looking for a goal, Hughes is more creative than Lerma. So, look, Walton came on for Lerma because we need to go make that change. I've not watched that incident back, which I know is amateurish. My counsellor has told me not to watch it back yet. It's too soon. I have no idea what either of them are bloody well doing. Yeah. I joke, everybody knows where I normally sit, jokes that I go, I've never seen a worse throwing taker than Mitchell. I mean, I literally go, when he throws it, he no idea where it's going. But that instance, I have no idea, as I replay it back in my mind, Lerma seemed to see that he was going to throw it, then turned away. I mean, I can't...
And runs in the opposite direction.
I can't fathom it. I cannot fathom it.
Yeah. It's a good point on the throw-ins. I mean, it's not just so much Mitchell, spread across most of the Premier League. There are so many throw-ins in a game, and these players, 5 times out of 6, are giving their players balls that are bounced just in front of them to control, as opposed to just being able to throw it to their foot. Like, just here's this, I'm going to throw it 3 yards short of you, so you have to control it with your thigh. Like, it's just so stupid. It's like such an important part of the game. But alas, they punish us, they break away. Talking of things that happen at home that don't happen away, it's the second time this season we've shit the bed just on the stroke of half time. Who was it? Lacroix gave the ball away to, I can't remember what game.
Smith Rowe, wasn't it?
Smith Rowe.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and it's just things that you just don't see us do away from home. We're gonna roll up to quite even. Go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, even the end bit of all of that, right? I'm not convinced Dean Henderson doesn't get something on it because he comes out spreading his body more if it isn't for Danny Munoz sliding in and taking Henderson's space. I mean, there's every single bit that went wrong with that goal. Could go wrong, went wrong.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention Henderson because, miserable as I am, when he came, because he came out in good time, I was like, I just feel, because of how good he is and how good he's been this season, I felt, I hate to say this because I've obviously jinxed it, I felt confident. I'm like, he's good at these sort of saves. And then when you sort of see it go, when you watch the replay back and it goes sort of, like you say, in between him and Munoz, because Munoz has come steaming in, I'm like, he's done quite well to get it there, but I just felt like Henderson was going to, not blaming Henderson at all, obviously.
No, Munoz just cleaned him out. When you switch back, Munoz cleans him out, and Henderson sees it coming. And I think Henderson was a little bit frustrated with himself as well, because I think he feels like he mistimed it very slightly. Like, I think he got there a little bit too soon in terms of the way everything flowed. But it's just a comedy of errors across the board. But I will say, from an Everton standpoint, Beto is just a completely different player. Talking about managers improving players, and it probably comes down to just being given a very specific role in the team and just being made very clear what my expectations are of you. And if you think Moyes has been good at that with West Ham, he's been good at it in the past with Everton. No one can be good with anything at Old Trafford, I guess. So it didn't work out there.
He's a different player. He's one that we really liked. We really, really liked. But for the Everton got him in the January. We'd looked at the previous summer, and it was just one that Palace felt they couldn't do, and dealing with Udinese, etc., was difficult. It was going to be lots and lots of money. We haven't got the greatest relationship with the Pozzos, albeit I think Steve does, but I don't think as clubs we do. They're quite hard to deal with, so we didn't go anywhere near it. And yeah, if you're an Everton fan, you'd be looking at Sean Dyche, wouldn't you? If whilst they've been struggling to score goals and been fighting relegation battles, he's been sat on the bench, being able to wait to come on and do that. Strikes a little bit, reminds me of Mateta and Roy Hodgson, and then the freedom he got under, Vieira and then Glasner.
Yeah. Well, he's just playing to his strengths. He's not being forced to run channels or anything like that. He's a big guy. He's pinning the centre-backs. He's getting it played into him. And then he's just hustling centre-backs when they're on the ball. You see a lot under Dyche. He wants his centre-forwards to go and do different things and chase things and whatever, and it just didn't quite work out. So, yeah, you absolutely agree. You've got to be looking at Dyche there. Mitchell almost gives another goal away before half-time after that one getting caught in possession, and luckily we managed to get rid in the end. The perfect start to the second half. Gay recycles the ball. Well, good win from Wharton first. Gay lifts it over, and brilliant finish, Hesketh from Mateta, but one of those beautifully slightly scuffed into the ground that always tend to find their way in. Yeah,
let's say that he did that on purpose because he knew it would help. A really good finish. Like I said, we started off the half really, really well, and just pinned them back and kept on at them. And it was a good ball over the top from Gay. Lovely finish. Not sure why it took 4 minutes of VAR. But I did have my eye on Will Hughes after it got finally confirmed, and he did a very sarcastic celebration near the referee, which I enjoyed.
Yeah, but when the crowd was singing "fuck VAR," Jordan Pickford was enjoying it, like watching back, and it was. Do you know what really frustrated me about it as well is that in the first half we've had an on-field decision stand because there's no conclusive evidence. And if it's taking you 4 minutes to try and draw the right line, there's no way you're dishing out conclusive evidence.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
And as we always go back to, this VAR for offsides, it wasn't brought in for this. Like, it wasn't brought in for is your shirt sleeve offside. It's just bullshit. Yeah. It's like, as I've said many times in the past, you just need to go back with the naked eye and say they're basically level. If I need to start getting out and drawing those lines, it's onside. Just forget about it.
100% agree. 100% agree. And you know what? In that 4 minutes, I think the game changed again. It's 1-1. The crowd's up. We're on. They've come out from their team talk, and their team talk's already gone. They've had 4 minutes to get themselves composed, sorted. I mean, it was. I really fancy if you're kicking back off 30 seconds after Mateta's put that in, I think we get hold of the ball again and we go straight up the other end. I really do. And yeah, again, that 4 minutes just worked in Everton's favour.
Yeah, no, I agree. And we barely have a sniff from that point on, to be honest. The odd chance here and there. But it's Henderson who's called into action a couple times. They get him behind Mitchell down the left and cut back to Beto, and Henderson does well to stand up and sort of it ends up getting scrambled out for a corner. And then he saves well again from Lindstrom, I think it is. Is that his name, Lindstrom?
Yeah, Lindstrom.
My notes here have auto-corrected to Windstrom, so I don't think it's him. But it's at this point, Ben Chilwell enters the fray. Mitchell goes off. Also, actually, bad game aside that he had, it was lovely to see Selhurst climb to his feet and give him a standing ovation and then clap him off because he obviously needed a shit or something because he run down a tunnel and disappeared for 5 minutes and then came back. But it was nice that everyone was still like, it's fine. You can just accept this is happening for a few months with Chilwell and all of that. But when we had you on for the transfer one, Carl, we talked about, I think I said at the time, it's harsh that someone said he's not going to improve us attacking wise and so on. But almost immediately, I mean, his first touch, Chilwell, is a crunching tackle, and then he causes a bit of havoc a few times going forward. And I think he really displayed what he might be able to bring to us in the second half of this season.
Yeah, totally. Transformational when he came on, didn't it? It looked absolutely transformational. To your bit, I think he loved the crunching tackle, and I'm not sure I ever thought he had a crunching tackle in him. But yeah, his link-up play, his leadership, his shouting. But yeah, suddenly we had two wing-backs getting outside, and the left one's more important for us than the right. You've got Sarr who's happy to be wide right. Ebbs doesn't want to play wide left, so there's a massive big space, and Chilwell was filling it the whole time and was optioned the whole time. So, yeah, I mean, I think I'm fortunate enough I'd seen him, a decent amount for England, so never doubted his capability. All you're hoping that he's turning up with the will and wants to prove himself, and yeah, I think everything we've seen so far, he looks hungry and wants to prove that he's a top level player, and he's still got a career ahead of him, not behind him.
Talking about players who might have wanted to prove themselves at Selhurst Park, Jake O'Brien is involved in the goal that puts Everton ahead. It's a deep cross. It's our boy Chile at the back post. I think it probably gets given as a penalty if they don't end up scoring from it anyway. I know he's got his back turned, but the header back across, it definitely hits a raised arm, and it would have been, guess how VAR were feeling on the day. I mean, Carl, it's a penalty for Juve every day of the week, but what do you reckon?
Yeah, look, do you know, I literally felt like couldn't have been any closer to that, and I thought at the time it's going to be a penalty. The only thing playing back in my mind at the time was, when you instantly play it back, was his arm is out, but has it actually hit the shirt sleeve, not the actual arm? And yeah, the arm's not, it's out, but it's not. He's not trying to make himself big. He's jumping, isn't it? So and he's got his back turned, so he doesn't know. So yeah, I wouldn't have fancied our chances. It's one of those I wouldn't have been surprised. I remember thinking at the stage, it plays through your head in the seconds, like shit, that's going to be a penalty. And then 5 seconds later, it's in the back of the net. I'm going, I wish it was a bloody penalty.
Yeah, well, you've got. I mean, the way the ball. I have this theory: the way the ball bounces around that penalty area and falls straight to their fucking player to tap in. I guarantee you, if that was at the other end of the pitch, that would have fallen to an Everton player, not a Palace player, because we are the unluckiest team from rebounds in the entire history of football. Not just on Saturday, just the entire history of football. No team has ever been as unlucky as we are. And I think back to the first half. I mean, the ref ended up bailing Tarkowski out, but he fell over, rolled all over the football, and it bounced around in a penalty area where there was 3 Palace players and 1 Everton player on his feet, and it fell to the Everton player. And then second half, case in point, falls straight to Alcaraz, is it? Henderson's onside because Will Hughes just stood right in front of him, so it basically makes it impossible for him. And I can't believe it with the words that come out of my mouth. Yeah. I think.
He also paused on it again, because you could see it perfectly. He also paused on it. There was none of this lashing it, and I might hit the underside of the crossbar. He knew exactly where he was in the moment, and he's hard and on the floor and no chance.
Yeah, and he assisted the first goal as well, making the pass at the right time. Yeah, decent little player. We then have an opportunity where Everton have a bit of a fuck up, and Chilwell has a shot from range. I can't watch it back. It's not amateurish. It's just not on any of the fucking highlights. So I don't know if it was going wide or not. But, there's some suggestions from people I've spoken to in the Homesdale that said it might have just been drifting wide anyway. But Pickford makes an incredible save, really, backtracking to dive away to his left to push it round the post. I think it might have been from the resulting corner as well, where Chilwell pulls one back and it ends up getting just cleared out. But it wasn't to be. And at the end of the day, can't very frustrating because Everton just weren't that good. I was surprised really because of the form that they've been in, the results they've had since Moyes has come in, 3 wins and a draw coming to Selhurst. But they weren't very good. But is this just a case of Palace against Everton, Groundhog Day?
I didn't realise when we beat him in the Zenith Cup 4-1 that there'd be 30 years of pain ahead.
Do you know what is mental as well? Is the 2 wins that we do have against them back to back, the 3-2s at Goodison, were when they were bloody good. Since they've been shit, we can't beat them. They're nearly going down every year, and they tend to do the double over us every year, or end up getting like the beneficiaries of ridiculous mistakes in Palace, or beneficiaries of awful refereeing decisions. If you think about Omar Niasse getting the penalty at Selhurst, when was it Omar Niasse who was got the pen? And then shocking. Just another season goes by and another double for Everton.
We'll just have to beat them at their new stadium. We'll just have to do that.
talking of their new stadium, did you see they had the soft launch with the first test event in which their under 21s were playing them? Under 21s or under 18s? I can't remember which.
Under 18s, yeah. Wigan, wasn't it?
And the first goal scorer at the stadium was a Wigan youngster who turns out to be a Liverpool fan, runs straight over to the Everton fans and holds up 6 fingers for the European Cups. It was like, how's that for your new stadium? I bet he's going to be a legend on Anfield.
If he's from Wigan, I bet those 6 fingers are all on the same hand as well.
Yeah, so disappointing result. But it doesn't matter because this weekend we're going to Craven Cottage against Fulham for a 2-0 win.
Standard.
All will be right with the world yet again. Obviously, I think I said in the last pod, 5 clean sheets in a row on the road. First time we've ever done that in our history. So going for a 6th here. Chalk and cheese, Carl, away from home. Just got fucking Brazy and Maldini and whoever else you want at the back. Good team for them, though, right? Having a good season. Going to be a tough one.
I think at Fulham, at Craven Cottage, it's chalk and cheese board is the actual phrase you use.
Right, yeah. Chalk and charcuterie board, yeah.
Yeah, they're good, aren't they? I thought they're having the season I was rather hoping we were going to go have, where you got a whole load of streetwise Premier League players, Premier League proven, and loads of young talent in there. I guess I know we're covering old ground. We lost a chunk of our season with so many of them being away in the summer. They didn't have any of that. I mean, they've got a great manager, really good manager, and a really good squad. That said, I still put our 11 or 16, whoever play on the day, up against theirs and feel comfortable. And it is away from home. It's not like I expect us to win, but I'd be really disappointed if we lost. That's for certain.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one, given our away form. And I think have they tailed off a bit recently? Am I imagining that a little bit? The results haven't been as
they
good.
Definitely beat somebody at home recently, which was a good result. Was it they beat Forest 2-1? Did they? I think they beat Forest.
Was it Forest? Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Fulham results. There we go. So, they lost to West Ham, which is probably what sticks in my head.
Yeah, you should get relegated for that.
And they lost to Man United as well. But then they beat. This is bipolar form. This is they lose to Man United, beat Newcastle, lose to West Ham, beat Leicester. So, yeah, that's where we're at. So they drew a win based on that form. Then, yeah,
great,
lovely. But no, with our away form, you got to be hoping, Hesketh, that we can go there and continue it. It's get Everton and get Brentford out your brain.
Oh no, yeah.
Think logically here.
I did say when we got drawn in the cup, I think I mentioned this for my best mate's a Millwall fan, and he was like, "Oh, what do you reckon?" And I was like, "Listen, you got a chance if it's at Selhurst Park, mate. If we were away, I'd be giving you all sorts of shit because we'd batter you." But yeah, I had Fulham are having a good season, like you guys have said. I think the good thing is we'll obviously take loads of fans. The atmosphere is usually really good when we go to Fulham, and the hope is, that we can do the business like we've been doing for the past sort of month or two, and not give away these silly little goals that we keep giving away at home. Be interesting to see the team we go with. Do we assume he will start with Wharton and Ebbs this time? Or do you think he'll do the sort of, bearing in mind we have another game on Tuesday, is he going to start Wharton and take him off, or bring Wharton on? What do we think?
Yeah, interesting one.
Yeah, I suspect he probably is on the bench. I reckon he might be on the bench. I reckon it might be Lerma and Hughes, and Adam comes on for the last 30, and then. But I do wonder if he then starts Villa.
you know what's interesting? I'm looking at the table here. I mean, for as stonking a season as Fulham are having, we beat them. We're only 6 points behind them. And as I've talked about our last 2 home games, we could easily have 6 more points. It's such a weird season. And I think it's why most of us appreciate and are not overly disappointed with us not being perhaps where we wanted to be, in the terms that I think we can all sort of tell that we're not a million miles off in that sense. And hopefully another season with Glasner and a couple more additions, it might be a little bit different next season. But
look, if we finish the season sort of coming in at sort of 1.5, 1.6 points a game, having a couple of memorable victories in there, and you know, I'm just talking the league at the moment. Obviously, we've still got the cup final where we beat Man United 2-0. Having had a rebound, ball straight to JP's feet. Sarr hits the underside of the bar and it goes in. But you know, joke. If we do finish the season like that, and there are no summer tournaments, and to your point, look, work on the principle we lose Gay, but they are investing more than they are receiving, and you've got 2-3 more players in there. Then I really do fancy us to, you know, if our ceiling at the present moment in time feels somewhere between 12th and 10th, maybe the ceiling then starts to move up to between 10th and 8th, and if it's a really good year, you're breaking right in.
Yeah, but it's just astonishing, really, because of the start we had and the troubles we've had at home. We beat Fulham on the weekend. We're 6 points behind them, and Fulham were having the season of their lives, or second season of their lives, I guess. But very interesting. Some points of admin for Fulham. There's a no bag policy, so if you go into the game on the weekend, you cannot take a bag in. You will be asked to check it outside for a £5. So no bags, unless you've got a small medical bag, you can take that in. Or if you're a lady and you have a small handbag, you can take that in. But outside of that, no bags.
No idea where I'm putting my
tuck your flares.
Yeah, well, I think the bags they might be looking for might be somewhere else, to be honest. But who's got a bag? Yes. So don't take a bag to Fulham. I don't know why you would anyway, unless it's for the aforementioned cheese board to crack that out at half time. I think I've mentioned it on here before. It was Ben Bailey Smith, Doc Brown being in a Fulham end, being in a Chelsea end once, and a guy behind him cracking out a Waitrose meat platter. Given he's a comedian, I'm not sure if he was joking or not, but it was imminently plausible, so had to go with it. But there you go. Right, what's happening next? We got Villa on Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think next Wednesday we'll be back to talk about Fulham and Villa then. Next Wednesday. Out in your ears on Thursday. And then are we into our stretch of no games forever? No, we've got Millwall before then, haven't we?
We do have Millwall before then.
Another league game before then?
No, we've got Millwall, and then the week after that is Ipswich.
Yeah, then we go no game because Newcastle got moved, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then international break.
Yeah.
Then I think it's straight back in. Then we've got the FA Cup boys. Preston away.
Oh,
I'll take it.
So would I.
I'll talk about it closer at the time, but I'm in a double booking dilemma that weekend, and I need the fixture to be kind. Because it's my daughter's birthday party. So I really need it to be kind.
This is weird. I've just got the invitation to Terence's daughter's birthday party, and it's in Deepdale. Weird. It's a destination party, guys. We're going to Preston.
Exactly. Yeah. When it said on the invitation North End, I wasn't talking Croydon. Right. Okay. So, Hesketh, thank you as always. Carl, thanks for stepping in at short notice for Albert.
Cheers, guys.
This week, closing out with something a little bit different. You may have seen on our Instagram this week, we said, look, if you're a Palace fan and you've got something going on and you want it promoted, get in contact and we'll give you a little platform. It is a little platform. I mean, probably no one's going to care, but hopefully you will. So this week we're going to be closing out with a band called Change Persona, who Palace fan in the band, long-time season ticket holder in the Homesdale. Change Persona, and the song's called Manager. Now, that is not me suggesting we change the managerial persona at Crystal Palace. As discussed, we're very happy with Oliver Glasner. So this is Change Persona. The song's called Manager. You can find them on all your outlets, as you do. And if you go on our Instagram, you'll see they've got tickets for a gig coming up soon in March. Tickets available for that. And if it's your thing, look it up and give them a follow. Until next time, up the Palace.